Holy shit, it's cold. Holy shit, it's cold. I mean, what? Pork chop? You know what? You know what? Chicken butt. You know why? Chicken thigh. You know who? Chicken poo. Oh, fuck. What's up? Just freezing balls outside on a fucking gross, frozen ass, cold ass, wet day here in California. You knew they'd be a stream? Oh, yeah? You felt it down deep in your soul. Well, well. About to pack a bing? Oh, shit. I know what you meant. We was just waiting on the racist ad to pass on before we could come in. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Feel it down in my plums. Turning that nice bluish hue. Ripening on the vine. Getting ready to take them to the farmer's market. Down in my plums, you know what I mean? So, allow me to bitch about something that sounds like, let's see, Paul, I know you're always talking about missing games and most where you aren't babies, control, stuff like that. Have you ever checked out Eve? Yeah. I played Eve for years and years and years. I think I have an active Eve account right now. I just haven't logged in like a month. But I play Eve. So I've told you guys before that I have a pinky finger on this hand that is funky. Like it's a funky finger. Like I broke it really bad when I was younger. Well, I did something to it again, and I literally don't know what. But that's as far as I can extend it without scorching pain. It's been like this for 3 days. I don't know if I dislocated it or fractured it again or what, but it is like I'll just wake up in the middle of the night and it's just throbbing. Just like, I'm like, ah. If I move it even a little bit when it's like that, it's like, fuck. Feels a little better today, honestly. And what you don't realize is like your pinky bitching about it. It sounds, whatever, but it shuts your whole hand down basically. Could be arthritis, yeah. I mean, it could be. I don't know what the fuck it is. I'm trying to not go to the doctor for my pinky. You know what I mean? I'd really rather not. But it shuts your whole fucking hand down. Like the muscles that you use to make a fist, grab something, it's all dependent on that fucking pinky being able to do it. Oh, got a stress ball, dude. There ain't no way. I can't even pet the dog with this hand because I can't straighten my hand out enough to go over the curves of his like head and body and shit. This hand is like, these fingers are fine, but these not. So I basically got a claw over here that I can do things with. I can trust your medical opinion. Yeah, I do. I have a deep and abiding trust. Keep it straight. I can't. I can't straighten it out. Like I literally like, okay. That's as far as it'll go without me like yelping in pain. It's in the first knuckle, well, not the first knuckle, the second knuckle, I guess. They're going right here. You can kind of see how fucked up my pinky is. If you look at this pinky, see how like wrinkly it is and shit. Look at this one. Like it's like, go to the doctor? No, I will not. Yeah, it's like inflamed or swollen or whatever. It feels a little better today than it did yesterday. It's not like throbbing constantly. So if it keeps getting a little better every day, I won't go to the doctor. But if it's like this, like 3 or 4 days from now, I'll go to the doctor. At least bandage it to the next. I can't. Like, you don't understand. I cannot bandage this to my other finger. Like, I can't straighten it. I literally cannot straighten this pinky finger beyond that. So I can't. I'd have to bandage them together like this. Is what it is. The fucked up thing is, I don't even know what I did to it. I woke up one day and it was like this. So it's like maybe I rolled over in the night and strained it or whatever the fuck. I don't fucking know. Yeah. Stretch it out as far as you can. Place a book over it till it stays straight. No, it isn't nerve damage, dude. It's like something's fucked up in this joint. This whatever, this like main knuckle joint. I had to take my fucking ring off because of it. Because like holding it like this, the ring was pushing up against this joint. So maybe that was it. Maybe I did something in my sleep where like my wedding ring like, but it's in this knuckle right here. This main knuckle. Whatever it is. Oh. Yeah, I might have to start taking my wedding band off at night. Oh, snap. The homie Zeke is here. I think that's Zeke. That's Zeke. What's up, dog? I'm in stream. I'm sorry, man. I don't. I feel like such a bitch complaining about it, but it hurts because the whole afternoon
Enjoy, buddy.
Gotta love Zeke, man. We'll put stuff inside. Oh man, that is gonna help. I'm gonna tell you right now. I've been out of my high dose edibles. That's probably gonna help this pain quite a bit. The only other thing that cuts it is Advil, and you can't like take Advil every fucking 15 minutes. Imagine if your bill going to the doctor was so high you had to pay with the food in your fridge to square your debt. We aren't that far away from that, unfortunately. Yeah. Dude, I saw this shit the other day that like made me so sad and angry that I had to fucking just like go. I had to just shut myself down and go do something else for a while. They had this fucking thing at a hockey rink. They had a bunch of teachers from the local like school, and they put out this big mat on the hockey rink at like halftime and dumped a big garbage bag of $1 bills on it, and then made these teachers like crawl around like dogs and grab fistfuls of cash and stuff it down their shirts or in their pockets or anywhere they could. And the money was for their kids. The money was so that their kids could have pencils and papers and books and shit. Are you fucking kidding me? It made me so angry and so sad when I saw it. I was just, I couldn't even comment on it. Like, it's one of those things that like I was gonna like retweet it and say something, and like I was just like, there are no fucking words, man.
And like when you get higher up, it's like buy $100 calculator or you just can't do math.
Yeah.
So it's like either the teacher has to come out of pocket for those $100 calculators, or kids have to share some shit.
Yeah, it's fucked. I mean, we're talking about teachers used to and this was back when I was working at the district. So we're talking like 2008 through 2015, something like that. 2016. Fucking, they were out of pocket for everything in their classroom. Paper, pencils. It's like, what? You don't get a stock of paper and pencils for your fucking kids?
Yeah, like they give school lists to kids, but fucking not every parent can cough up like $200 worth of shit.
And in fact, that a lot of the schools that I was at were ESL schools, so the lowest end of the income spectrum. These kids' parents didn't have the money to take them down to Walmart and get them a fresh new backpack and a nice new pair of kicks and a whole bag full of rulers and notebooks and pencils and pens of every color and kind. They didn't have the money to do that. A lot of these kids came to school in the same 2 outfits all week. We're talking like actual poverty here. And so what happens is that the teacher is left in this position where if they don't reinvest a certain chunk of their fucking salary back into their children, their kids just don't have pens, papers, books, notebooks.
See, I had some teachers that were like cool about that shit. It's like, oh, if you didn't buy your school supplies, screw you.
Yeah.
You gotta figure it out. Or like, if someone didn't have a pencil, then you're like, no, you don't get one.
It's just like, just seeing those people out in the middle of a stadium scrambling around like dogs for dirty ass fucking $1 bills dumped out of a trash bag.
And I couldn't even do like five, so
they couldn't even just like,
down their shirt.
How about this? How about you pick 5 really good teachers in the area whose classrooms need money and you just donate that money to them?
Yeah. Why is it gotta be a
Why do they have
spectacle?
Yeah, why do you have to make a spectacle out of it and have all the teachers down there scrambling, stealing fistfuls of dollar bills from each other and shit? It was just like the most dehumanizing shit. And then you realize that fucking bag full of dollar bills meant so much to those teachers. And, you know, America just fucking passed a $750 some odd billion defense budget. Are you fucking kidding me?
Like, the military almost never spends all the money they get. They have like this end a quarter fucking rush to like get fancy office chairs and lobster dinners and shit so they can justify increasing it next year.
Yeah.
It's like use it or lose it.
It's like state construction shit. Like here in California, we got Caltrans, and they do the same shit. It's called leaning on your shovel. Because if you finish too much in a year, then they think you've got too many people. They think you're doing too much. So you do about half of what you would normally do, and then you just kind of find reasons to not go to the project, and it takes fucking 6 years to get done.
Because they need the 6 years of pay.
I don't... I really just don't even have the words to describe to you how mad that fucking shit made me and how sad it made me. It was just such a fucking, like, shock to the system to see that kind of thing. This is like a spectacle how poor these schools are. And now, in the middle of this fucking hockey thing, let's have a bunch of teachers scramble around on their hands and knees on the ice like a bunch of dogs to get fistfuls of dollar bills so they can buy paper and pencils for their kids.
I mean, one teacher, it's like she was teaching and then like doing DoorDash on the side and doing bartending on the side.
Yeah.
To make ends meet.
Yep. A lot of the young teachers have multiple jobs because they just can't fucking even get by on it, coupled with what they have to dump into their own fucking kids' education. It's a fucking nightmare, dude.
It's like, what do you do? Just have kids that don't have anything to write on?
Yeah. Some of these classrooms, yeah. Because it really is, it's up to the teacher. You know what I mean? They can't fucking force you or mandate you to come out of pocket for things. Most teachers do. But some of them don't. My coworkers on the farm is also a teacher. I have no idea how they pull it off. I don't know either. I mean, there are definitely like
80-hour weeks on top of all their jobs and like grading papers and shit. Making lesson plans and all that crap.
what can we even do though? Nothing. Unfortunately, nothing.
A lot of education budgets are like completely tied to property taxes. So if it's a lower income neighborhood, there's not enough property taxed.
Yep. And no child, no child left behind, and Common Core both tie federal school funding dollars to test performance.
They
So-
do that with teacher raises too. It's like
Mhm.
I used to help out during my lunch with like the kids that were special needs.
Yeah.
Like that teacher, I overheard her saying, it's like I'm never gonna get a raise because all my kids that are special needs have to take that test, even though they're like mentally like 5-year-olds.
Yeah. The standardized testing and tying that to funding thing is just insidious. Because it punishes the schools that need the funding the worst. Like these underfunded schools, like a couple of the ones that I worked at, the more rural schools that I worked at, were just so fucking sad. It's just so fucking like kids sitting in desks from the fucking 80s, classrooms that hadn't been fucking refurbished since the same, you know what I mean? Just mostly portable classrooms because they can't really afford to build a real school. And it's those schools that need the funding for more teachers and more engagement for the kids and stuff the most, and they are denied it because their kids are largely, in the case of the schools that I'm talking about, were largely the children of immigrants. And so English second language, coupled with the fact that there's no funding for any of it, so huge class sizes, no fucking stuff in the classes.
Parents that are working to the bone too that can't help their kids
Right.
after school.
And
Or
it's,
the kids working themselves after school.
yep. And it's those places that need those federal dollars the most, and it's those places that are denied them the most because their kids test poorly. So it's just fucked. Like there was a school that I worked at called Millview Elementary. It's actually the school that I went from kindergarten to 6th grade in. I ended up working there as an adult. And it was one of these schools, very rural, very underfunded, largely English second language student population. And they had this special exemption under No Child Left Behind called QIA. I can't remember what QIA stands for. It was an acronym. But it allowed them to get special funding dollars due to the low economic status of the area that the school served and the special needs of the students being largely ASL. That funding was pulled from them under Obama's rehash of No Child Left Behind, which is Common Core. So a school that was already struggling because they never got the federal dollars for compliance dollars. The test compliance money, they never got that. Had the one because QIA funding doesn't match that. It just provides extra funding to schools to give them a boost up. That was the point of the program. Program was discontinued under Common Core, or at the very least made harder to qualify for, and that school lost it. So that school lost like a fucking quarter of the budget. Quarter of their budget for students. Just whoosh. So you tell me, a kid like me, and this is the sad part about it, I got a good as fuck education at Mellview when I was a kid. In the 80s, I have so many memorable teachers that were really good at their jobs, helped to introduce me to the things that I was starting to show interests in and shit. I was in my first play at Mellview School. It's called Inside Pitch. It was a little musical play made for kids to do in school. And I played the nerdy kid who nobody wanted to let play on the team, but it turns out because he was a math whiz, he could throw the ball and do all kinds of crazy things with it.
Yeah, physics.
Yeah, and so they end up finding out that everybody's good and everybody has a special talent and blah, 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 right? And so, yeah, dude, I got to do that as a kid. They don't even put on plays at the little elementary schools anymore. It just doesn't happen. Trust me, I worked at them. There was never a play. It's fucked.
And then that child labor they do, it's like, all right, everyone's got to do a fundraiser. They got to sell cookies or whatever for fucking stickers and shit.
Yeah.
I'm sure you had those kids. Like, everyone's got to sell chocolate bars or
Oh yeah,
whatever.
and we had to do that back in the day too. Like we would do fundraiser chocolate bar sales and stuff too. So I'm not saying it was perfect, but we were doing those so we could take field trips.
Yeah, like extra shit.
Yeah, it wasn't like we need pencils, please buy this really shitty chocolate bar. Like then they're ass. They're just like not great chocolate bars. But we were fundraising for the class field trips and having speakers and different things go and like doing one big field trip a year in the GATE program, which was extra stuff for kids. But I got what I consider to be a really good K through 6 education at Millview School. And I think that kids now are way less likely to have access to that. There's still a lot of good teachers working there, as far as I know. There were when I was there. But they can only do so much, The class sizes have more than doubled since I was there. So when I was a kid, we had about 12 to 14 kids in a class. 20 would have been a huge class. It was usually lower teens, so 12, 13, 14 kids in your class. Now it's 40 to 1. 40 students to a teacher. More than doubled the amount of kids that are in the class that each teacher is responsible for.
How do you help any kid that's struggling?
You don't have time. There's no time for individual instruction. There's no time for extra things. There's no time for creating... Because, like, I can guarantee you this, dude. My teachers back in the day, they had such autonomy in creating their curriculum and their lesson plans and stuff. I guarantee you that they had lesson plans for other kids. Where it's like they'd give a broader lesson, and then while the other kids were working on writing something or reading something, they would go and work individually with a small group of kids. I remember that happening. They had teachers' aides that was their job, was to take a certain group of kids over after the main lesson and work more with them or
have like a different assignment.
Right.
That's more of their level.
Right. I did crazy shit in elementary school. I got to go on crazy field trips. I got to go to the dams around the area, and they gave us a whole tour of the inner workings of a lot of the dams. That was so cool. We got to go to a lot of like nature type of areas, and where like a park ranger would teach us about things. I got to see my first banana slug when I was there, which is they live in the redwood forests. And I remember the park ranger took us a little small group of one class, you know what I mean? Like 12 kids on a bus, and took us up, and we walked around in the redwoods, and we learned about all the wildlife. And, I just remember that. Got to go to the Monterey Bay Aquarium, which is one of the best aquariums in the fucking world, full stop. At least, especially at that time. I don't know, maybe it's slipped in the rankings since then, but it's still a beautiful fucking aquarium. We got to go there as a kid. I'd never been to such a thing, you know what I mean? My parents are not big aquarium folk, so I was fucking absolutely overjoyed. I still have a little Buddha that I bought. I keep that Buddha next to me all the time at that place. I bought that little Buddha statue on a field trip for like $3 or whatever from a little street vendor. Got to be on that boat. I mean, I've told that story a billion times, but I got to be on a boat that's still docked in San Francisco Bay. It's called the Balclutha. It's one of the oldest surviving floating boats. It predates America as a nation. So very like, high seas kind of piratey sloop kind of boat, named the Balclutha. I got to live on that for like a week. with other people, and we were treated like sailors, which was really neat. Each one of us was given a duty, and we had to fulfill that duty. And I pulled the coolest one. I was the wheelman. I got to stay up hella late and sit alone at the wheel and just listen to the ocean. It was so awesome, dude. I loved it as a kid. I felt so special. Everybody else was bunked down and sleeping.
Yeah.
My ass is up there, like, watching the wheel. And it was in San Francisco Harbor, so I could see the lighthouse at Alcatraz. And so I could hear all the, just like the sounds of the ocean lapping up against the thing, but the city was quiet. Usually there was this hustle and bustle during the day, very eerie and spooky and meditative. I loved it.
And like all those field trips and extra shit, it's like that's how kids figure out what they're interested in.
Yeah. When you talk about the extra shit, that's how I figured out I liked theater. Right? Because there was a budget for them to throw a little theater production. It wasn't nothing special. It wasn't a big deal, but they paid that teacher extra to direct a play after school, and they cast a bunch of kids from fourth grade.
Costumes and set.
Got a little costume, built a little set. It wasn't nothing, like I said, it was like for the cafeteria filled with parents, basically. And we did it for the different grade levels, too. But you know what I mean? Like that sort of thing, like it seems like just a throwaway thing, but look what I do with my life. And look what I've done with my life in the interim when I've had the opportunities to do so, you know what I mean? I've been in a lot of shows. I've spent a lot of time on stage. It really defined my fucking whole high school experience.
Late 20s.
Yep. I was super heavily involved into theater all the way into my early 20s, my mid 20s. I was just doing show after show after show. I just couldn't get enough. And then it finally got to the point where I had to work more than I could afford to fucking give time to the fucking things. And I still did shows here and there into my late 20s, but by my 30s, I was working so goddamn fucking much. It just kind of fell off. But, the skills that I used in that, particularly all the time I spent working improvisation, paid off in spades for me. It became a career for me, And all of that could probably be traced back to me being cast as the nerdy kid in the inside pitch in fourth grade.
Like that boat thing, it's like, it's not a bad job, it's a necessary job.
Right.
Probably some kid, did that and realized, like, hey, I could be on a boat.
I could be
on a boat,
yeah.
Or fish or whatever.
I could be a boat captain, pilot one of these big fucking cargo boats, or like a Coast Guard guy or a Navy guy or whatever the fuck. Like, exposing kids to things like that can define a fucking life. People don't understand that. Like, that teacher, and I still remember her name. I won't say it because I don't want her fucked with, but I actually worked with her when she was still teaching when I worked at the school district. Fantastic fucking teacher. And I don't even think she knows, you know what I mean? Like, at this point, that act, her putting me in that little show that she probably barely even fucking remembers, honestly, because she's had how many classes full of kids since then, right? Changed the whole trajectory of my life. In the fourth grade, it like showed me that this was a thing. Oh, acting is a thing. Oh, being in plays is a thing. I loved it. I just immediately took to it, like a duck to water. And I did it all through middle school. There were a couple of little shows that I did in middle school. There was less of it, honestly. I went to a really, really economically poor middle school. But once I hit high school, as detached and nihilistic and depressed as I was at that age, I thought I'd take drama for the easy A, and it ended up being like, nope, this is going to be the hardest thing that you do in school. And that was all just because the teacher that I had was not going to accept it for me. she was just one of those people that was like, I'll flunk you if you give like an ounce less talent and dedication that I know that you're capable of. And she was really good at reading that in people, and finding what people's talents were and finding where they fit. She had a brilliant mind for that.
It was fucking night and day when like my mom moved towns, because I remember like all that cool shit and like extra teacher dedication in one town where it was like higher income. And
Yeah.
my mom moved to a lower income place, and like literally in high school there were kids that could barely fucking read a sentence.
Yeah. Yeah. It's gotten to a point now where we're graduating functional illiterates from school. People who have like a first grade reading level.
Or maybe like fifth grade tops or something.
Fifth grade reading level and a first grade reading comprehension level. Those two things are different.
Yeah.
It's one thing to be able to sound out a word. It's another thing to be able to read context and dialogue and know what all the fucking, punctuation is and shit. We're graduating functional illiterates into the world. Like, it blows my mind when I look at, like, how much unintentional misspelling happens in young people's, like, social media shit, too. And I'm not trying to be, like, a grammar Nazi or nothing, but it's just, like, I was drilled in school on how to spell, and, like, that was a big deal. Spelling words was something I was fucking tested on at multiple levels in school and shit, and I learned, man. I'm not saying I never make a grammatically incorrect fucking mistake or some shit, but fuck, dude,
You know what fucking words mean.
Yeah, there are just some people that are just out there fucking using words in ways that they're not even intended, and fucking misspelling fucking most of the shit in their shit.
Yeah, there's this subreddit called Bone Apple Tea.
Oh, yeah.
People that like completely don't understand idioms at all.
Yeah, it's like bon appetit, and people think have gone their whole lives thinking people are saying bone apple tea.
Yeah.
Went to an alt school since I got thrown out of public school, and they were just graduating everyone who barely passed. Oh, yeah. Well, that's what they do everywhere. It's not just at alternative schools, but you got the worst of it, dude. Those schools, see, here's the thing. Like, I worked for the city. So I worked for the city doing city schools. There were county schools, and those are two different entities. County had it even worse than the worst of the city schools. We had some really bad, really underfunded schools. Dude, county schools, which included continuing education, what do they call that? Secondary school, I guess, where people didn't graduate high school, but they can, as young people, they get to go back and do an intensive. And so that, a lot of the special needs, special education stuff was through the county. They didn't have a dollar between them, man.
Yeah, because like the county shit, that was most of like farmland shit, farm workers and shit. There ain't no property taxes.
It's just crazy. Horrifically underfunded and just wrong. Just like what funding is there is just applied incorrectly. So it's fucked.
Like all the technology you bought, fucking those kids just needed a class size that wasn't 40 fucking people.
Right. Like if they would have not bought like Promethean boards for everything, that was a multi-million-dollar expenditure.
That most teachers didn't even want to use.
Yeah,
there were super necessary. Honestly.
No, I mean there were a few teachers that dove into it, and because it really is, it's a fucking useful tool if you use it. You can do a lot with it. It's engaging for kids and stuff, but most of the teachers didn't want it, didn't want to use it. Ended up being just a really expensive ass whiteboard in their class. And if you'd have taken that money and just spread it out over the schools and hired 150 new teachers and sprinkled them around, that would have increased the student experience vastly more.
It's like my worst fucking math teacher used the Promethean board. My best fucking math teacher fucking snuck one of those like overhead projectors and saved it and put it on the fucking
Yeah, dude.
Promethean board.
That was one of my jobs, man. Dude, those things were like contraband. It was like finding a big brick of crack or some shit, you know?
Yeah.
I would go into
They were
the.
defensive, man.
Oh, yeah. Teachers would hide them and I had teachers that would chain them up in fucking side of, chain up their, like lock up their shit. But I just kept telling those teachers, I was like, one day you're going to slip. I was like, and I don't even want to do this to you. But they've just told me if I see one of these, I'm to immediately throw it in the back of my car and take it to the junk pile. So you're going to slip up one day and this thing is going to be sitting out and you're going to go to lunch and I'm going to come in here and I'm going to get it. And you're going to, don't kill the messenger. Okay. I'm letting you know ahead of time. These things, like I have a directive, man. These overhead fucking transparency projectors, they're gone. You see one, you kill it. And I got them, dude. I got most of them. I would still find them, though.
Yeah,
Every
it's
year
like
I'd find
you
one.
didn't have beef with it. You were just like, well, they're gonna fucking spend $1 million on these Promethean boards. They might as well fucking use them.
Yeah. I have a Syrian friend who went from having no goal in life to, thanks to the free education system, studies English and started studying architecture. That's really cool. I mean, that's it's so true. Like, my education was so important to shaping what kind of person I was and what my little talents were and how I nurtured that and how I saw myself self-esteem wise and all of that shit. It was just so important. And kids aren't getting a tenth of what I got. And I didn't get something. I'm not trying to fucking idealize my education. There were problems in it. I was bullied in school and there was really not a lot of recourse for that back in the day. Bullying was not taken as seriously as it's taken now. I think that like the 90s was really when like bullying started to come to the forefront.
Well, the shootings, I think,
Right.
really brought it to the forefront.
You guys got to remember, I was in these schools and shit in the 80s and the very early 90s and shit prior to any of these big shootings. And so, bullying was just kind of seen, it was seen in a different light. And
Character building.
yeah, and that, this is like a little bit of a boomer part of me maybe, but I have to agree to a certain fucking extent. I was bullied and it sucked, but it made me a harder person and it caused me to really focus in on what I had that the bullies didn't have, which a lot of times I was just wittier than they were. I'd heard better jokes. I've told you guys, like, I spent a lot of my fucking really young childhood from like baby up around partying blue-collar workers, union laborers, drunk and high and telling stories and shit. I'd heard it all, man. And so, yeah, I learned how to stand up for myself. And I learned how to project an aura that wasn't like, I'm an easy fish, I'm prey. You know what I mean? It doesn't mean I'm a badass or nothing. I never was. I never got in a fight that I fucking really genuinely won in school.
But at the same time, that was coupled with teachers actually being able to invest in your self-esteem.
Right.
Now it's like bullying plus not having a real connection with any of your teachers.
Bullying plus you're just a faceless number in a class.
Yeah.
You're student number 42 in the class.
Those coupled together are what causes crisis.
Yeah. Well, there's other factors too. That coupled, because I had parents that, say what you want about them, they were invested in my life. They took me places. They did things with me. They helped me with my homework if I needed it. If I brought home a grade that wasn't good, they wanted to know why.
Yeah.
They followed up on my homework and shit. My parents did their part in the education. A lot of kids don't got that.
Yeah. Their parents don't have time.
Or don't know how, or just don't care.
Yeah.
There's all kinds of different reasons why it don't happen, but I'm just saying. I had a really good, I had all the pieces in place to get a good education.
And build your self-esteem enough that...
Yeah. And I'm not telling you that Because I don't like that I went through it. And I myself, one of the ways that I dealt with it, and I've told this story too before, is I kind of, for a brief time, became kind of a bully myself. Like one of the ways that I took out that kind of pent up angst that you get when you're bullied by people or made fun of by people is I found somebody that was lower on the totem pole than me and I made fun of them. Well, that's shit. And so I'm not saying that I'm not defending bullying. I do think that teachers should intercede in these kids' lives, especially now when there's no safety net for a lot of these fucking kids. But I'm also saying that, like, in my time, there was less angst because the bullying happened. I don't even know how to explain it.
It was less detrimental because there was other things in place to mitigate it.
It was like a release valve for a lot of the shit. And it like, I didn't start getting bullied until around the 6th grade. Mm-hmm. And that's when I started to chonk up. Mm-hmm. And that's really what I started getting. Because, like, before that, I wasn't bullied. Mm-hmm. There were dudes at the school that were, like, cooler than me or whatever, but I wasn't picked on or bullied or anything until about the 6th grade. I started to chonk up. And I don't know, around that age, I feel, and maybe I'm wrong about this, maybe kids should be protected from that completely, but I feel like around that age, it was good for me as a young person who's, about to be a young man, to learn how to stick up for myself, to learn how to let insults roll off my back, to learn how to deal with people that are angsty and bullyish and try and fucking bulldoze you in a conversation and shit. And I learned all that shit in school because I had those interactions and shit. That's a positive thing. I mean, it helped my self-esteem as a person, as a young kid, to be able to deal with that shit and to learn to not make it the center of my fucking universe. So I don't know, man. This is one of those things.
Like you said too, with like the gangs when you got up to high school, they weren't fucking killing each other over shit.
No, they had fist fights. And those were even like few and far between. And when it came to shit that happened on school property. Had no one looking out for me because the bullying I went through wasn't as overt. I mean, I had a little group of friends and shit, but, they were not instrumental in dealing with bullying, at least not directly for me. But I learned to deny reactions until it became impossible. Like, most bullies, like, they'll say some shit or let you overhear them saying some shit about you. That's like the key move. That's such a pussy move too. It's like, I'm talking shit about you, but third hand, and I want you to overhear it. It's like, what? That shit I learned from the jump. You don't even react to it. You just let that shit fucking go. You go ahead and have your fucking little. You're sitting around at your lunch break talking about me. Oh. Like how fucking insulting. Like, to me, that didn't even come off as an insult. I learned from a very young age that, like, that whole living rent free in your head adage, you know what I mean? They're sitting around thinking about me all goddamn day. Fuck it. Now, when they wanted to come up to me in a public place and start saying shit, then I would have to say some shit back, and I was just good at it. Like, they would have some little, oh, you're fat. Whatever fucking grade school, middle school level insult. And I grew up around a bunch of blue-collar workers that were salty as fuck that insulted themselves and each other all the fucking time for fun. And I would just pick them apart. I would find the thing that they were probably most, like, ashamed of. and I would pick on it. And sometimes it meant like going after shit that would, be looked at as yikesy now. Physical deformities, race. Like there was a kid that wanted to bully. He was friends with the kid that had the cleft palate surgery scar. And he was Asian. And there was no other Asians in the school. And so when he came up to me and started talking some shit about how fat I was, I said something like, maybe you should like turn your head this way and get a better look. Maybe your vision is stretching out my fucking fatness. He didn't have nothing for that.
Little kids are always more racist, dude.
Oh, hell yeah, dude.
Kids that don't have filters, they don't fucking...
Like, he didn't have nothing for that. And it was like, and then it came down to, does he want to get fucking in a bunch? Because, like, fighting was just not it was looked down upon, obviously. That was the bullying that you couldn't do. You couldn't just go punch somebody. So if he wanted to punch me, he'd be in trouble for fucking weeks. And all I got to do is take a sock from a little kid with a cleft palate or a little Chinese kid. Whatever. Seems like a good fucking trade to me. Paul confirmed racist. I was definitely raised with some racial bias for sure. When I was a kid, I was surrounded by people that had very confusing racial ideas. Here's the type of racism I grew up around, because there were people of all races and shit at the factory my parents worked at. And so there were these, like, every race was a monolith. And everybody that we knew that was of that race was an exception. They were what that race should be. It was just an absurd way of ignoring the fact that none of the stereotypes held true. I feel that bullying is simultaneously overblown and ignored. Nowadays, a single joke is considered bullying, but there really aren't any great resources for kids who are actually bullied where I'm from. Yeah, sure. My family was racist light. Example, black people are good and normal as long as they aren't those bad ones. Right. I mean, there was a lot of that, too. That's basically the same shit. It was like my parents would be like, oh, like around where I grew up, it's mostly Hispanic and white people, right? And so it's just like, of course, the target of a lot of the racial vitriol and shit was leveled against Hispanic people. Not all of it, but you know what I mean? And it would always be like, oh, those fucking lazy, Mexicans, they come over here, they take our jobs, and they just lay around and fucking, they're all on welfare and blah, 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 blah. Look at their side of town. Look how run down it is, blah, blah, blah. It's just all that shit, right? But then we had like 15 fucking really close family friends who were Mexican. So it was like, but not these Mexicans. Not our Mexicans, though. Not the ones that we've taken the time to get to know. Just the ones that we haven't taken the time to get to know. What? Taking our jobs on welfare. It was just absurdly, and it's still around too, that fucking sentiment in that area. It's still there. You know what I mean? It's just like there's this fucking like self-refuting kind of I blew off steam because the government sucks by blaming everything bad on the Mexicans. parents were racist towards Mexicans until my sis had kids with one. Well, there you go. What's your coping mechanism towards former racist things said? How do you deal with former ignorant statements? Or is there even anything that should be done? I mean, like, a lot of the shit that dude, if I said some shit out of some genuine racism, I would have been a kid. And at that point, I think I get the doesn't know any better card. You know what I mean? A fucking straight out kid. As an adult, I've never been a fucking racist. I've probably said some shit that would be yikesy in terms of today's kind of nomenclature and shit. I used to really not have a problem with like rapping along with songs that had the N-word in it. You know, so... But as far as like something that's done out of some fucking hateful reasoning, there's just nothing like that floating around for me. So I really don't feel the need to apologize for the child that I was, you know, lest everybody else is gonna fucking get down on their knees and confess their sins to me, you know. I'm willing to engage in some group fucking therapy if everybody wants to let all their childhood skeletons come screaming out of the closet like I do. But as far as me going back and apologizing for being a young man, nah. Jay Bumpins again. No flag, no bump. What is this world coming to? A Highdeology struggle session? You kids are going to have to explain to me what a struggle session is. I understand the struggle is real. What's a struggle session, man? Who's struggling what? Big Bully Paul. Big Bully Paul. Big Bully Paul. Big Bully Paul. I can't really roast you though. I can't see you. I don't know nothing about you. I think you're a European piece of shit, so I could roast you on that if you want. I'm 99% sure you're European. 99% sure. You're from some fucking European shithole. And I could roast you on that if you want. Wonder if you scrapped your novel idea. You're still working on it, not complaining, just curious. There's nothing for you to complain about, so yeah, no, that's fine. I never promised anybody it. It's a side project of mine, and yeah, I look at it from time to time. It's not at the forefront of my brain right now. I'm doing a lot of other writing right now. But, you know, one of these days I might finish it up. I like it. I like where it's at. I like where it's going. I like kind of like the vision that I have for the book. It's not going to be an ultra long book, I don't think. But I'm thinking about 8, 9 chapters, and I've got 2. You know, neither one of the 2 that I have is completely fleshed out and perfected, but I've got 2 solid structures for the chapters done. A lot of writing done on it. And it's just something I go back to and look at every once in a while, and if I feel the itch, I do it. I don't put any timetables on myself. Struggle sessions are what Mao used to do to shape public opinion and also humiliate those that were against the party that were deemed class enemies. Whatever, bro. Paul, are you really pretending to be gay now? Pretending to be gay? No. You're British. Well, well, well. How did I fucking call that? It gets that cold in Cali? Yeah, I do. It is. I could actually do with like some gloves and shit right now, or a nice fire. Oh, I'm British. I have no idea what the temp is out here. It's a wet cold. It's not the temperature probably isn't super low, but as you can hear, it's very breezy, and the humidity level is like hovering near 100% because it's raining on and off. So it's a really like cloying, wet cold that just like slowly seeps into your bones. Ugh. Light a fire. Oh man, I don't know. The wood's pretty wet right now. It's been raining on and off all fucking day. It would be a tall fucking order right now to get a fire going, and I don't even know if that would, like, I'd have to go sit right by the fucking fire. I think I'm better off just like toughing it out here as I can and then moving my ass inside to unfreeze it, you know. Come on, baby, light my fire. Try and set the night on fire. Dum, 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 dum. I want to get one of those solid upright propane heaters. Oh, yeah. The things they've got like on the back porch of TGI Fridays or whatever the fuck. You talking about those? With the big bell at the top, the big dome that, like, you know, fucking. Yeah. How much do one of those run? I bet they're. Like, the propane and tank is probably more expensive than the structure, to be honest with you. Propane is absurdly expensive right now, dude. Absurd. Like, we're talking like, I feel bad for the folks that are coming to live here. Absurd. Like, I didn't top off our tank, but I got it up to like 40% because we're going to be out of here soon. And it's like, that's just 40% from 20%. Looks like a structure runs about $100. That's not bad. Yeah, get that, and then get a propane tank, fill it up. Propane is just so fucked up right now. It's so expensive. Drove to Bakersfield last Thursday. Gas was $5.60 a gallon. Dude, it's creeping up even higher. I've heard like coastal areas have $6 gas now. Don't know if you looked into it, but there was a little more shooting deaths compared to any other Black Fridays. Yeah. I did a stream and I talked about how, like, man, dude, my finger's just not on the pulse of that anymore. Like, the whole shopping thing, I guess I just didn't appreciate how much of it has just moved online. There just weren't that many people out looking to do the doorbuster thing, and I was raised in the era of that, and so I'm used to that. But it was just kind of a boomer call, I think, ultimately, because, you know, I just assumed, like, fuck, people are gonna go crazy, you know, because I guess I just didn't appreciate how much of shopping has just become ordering shit from Amazon, you know. So, whatever. I'm actually glad that people didn't die in puddles of blood over fucking cheap-ass Korean TVs or whatever the fuck. We got a ton of people, but they were mostly older and chill about it. That's cool. Yeah, I imagine it was still busy and shit, but it just didn't play out like I thought it was going to. To the credit of the people that work at those places and the general public at large, I think it was, you know, a relatively normal Black Friday if you know, maybe a slightly more violent Black Friday, but whatever. It definitely wasn't what I was saying. Yeah, they've moved to kind of a similar structure here. A lot of these online retailers just do like Christmas sales, like you're talking about, where it's just, the whole month of November or the whole month of December, you get 20% off on this, and there's, great deals every day. Make sure you check back type of shit. So, from what I can tell, like the whole Black Friday / Cyber Monday thing is kind of going away in favor of just general kind of price reductions and clearing a back stock and stuff, and it makes sense. I think the big problem this year is just going to be people like getting their shit, getting their fucking stuff, because there's like a lot of interruptions in the supply chain, and a lot of the stuff that people want includes these ever more precious processors and whatnot. So dude, I had a bug, and not a bug, but just like I got the bug last night to look and see. I was just like, let me just look and see what a fucking PS5 is going for. Dude, I couldn't even find one. And I saw them on the secondary market for $1,000. I was like, $1,000 for the base ass fucking just PS5 with one controller. I was like, are you kidding me right now? You gotta be joking me. There's no fucking way. There's just no way. I abjectly refuse to pay $1,000 for a fucking console. Yeah, I've got. You know what the sad thing is? I would love to upgrade to a PS4 Pro, but you can't even get one of those anymore. Because so many people think like I do, and they're like, well, fuck this PS5 thing. I'll just go get the fucking nice PS4 Pro. So you can't even find those anymore. I was just thinking about like a console, getting a console this year for Christmas. You know what I mean? I was just thinking about getting it because Amelia loves playing games on console. She'll sit out there and play, she's playing Assassin's Creed right now. The Outer World. She loves just kind of chilling on the couch with me and just playing through a game. So I was thinking about like upgrading our console game a little bit, getting us something that we could get some newer games for or whatever. I was like, oh, maybe I'll get us a PS5. No. Maybe I'll get us an Xbox Series X or whatever the fuck. Xbox One X or whatever the newest one is. No, I guess I won't do that either. Maybe I'll just upgrade our PS4 from just a regular PS4 to a PS4 Pro, because that'll make a lot of games way more playable, and it opens up the library a little bit. Nope, not going to do that either. It's like, well, PC gaming is the best move if you've already got a PC. If you've already, like, I'm lucky I have what's, like, it's old now. I can't even tell you what's in it, but I know it was built back in fucking 2016. So it's an old-ass fucking PC, but it still plays any game I throw at it. I might have to crank down the fucking graphics a little bit. But, yeah, GPUs, like, if I wanted to get an upgrade to the GPU that I have right now, not only that, I could probably, like, clean up and package and sell my GPU for a lot of money. Not a ton, but probably more than it's worth. It's a 3800 Ti. Does that sound right? I'm so fucking bad with these fucking specs and shit. I just don't care. I know it's an NVIDIA card, and I know it has a Ti at the end of it. But whatever, it's a single card in there, and it plays anything that I throw at it. But it's like gold right now, having a rig like that. Dude, the Stream Deck is going to be revolutionary. I'm so glad that I signed up to I'm gonna snatch one no matter what, dude. That's the one I'm gonna fucking grab when it becomes available, if it becomes available. Because who knows? We're talking about Valve here, you know what I mean? Ugh, let me go fill my drink. I'll be right back. A 3080 Ti is, yeah, I think that's exactly the card I have. A 3080 Ti. Was that available back in like 2016? Because I don't want to tell you I got a better card than I do. I'm not trying to flex or whatever, but I'm just lucky I have a rig that I've kept running that's got a decent amount of RAM. And, you know, I mean, RAM is still pretty cheap, but fucking like chips. It's got a decent CPU. It's an, I don't know what it is. i7 something 800K. Whatever it is. I don't know what it is. But I haven't found a game that just like chokes it yet. And I really don't care to play the games that would choke it, really. So it works out for me. But if I can get a Stream Deck, that'll definitely like free me to just use that as our console. And that would be great, because that would let Amelia just kind of like play anything anytime she wanted, and it wouldn't keep me from playing it. 3080 Ti. Okay, so I have like a 1080 Ti or something then. Yeah, whatever it was a decent card in 2016. Will you play games in the metaverse, dude? I won't join it. I actually have developed a little bit of a fear of trying out VR, and I don't know if it's justified, but I've actually developed a little bit of phobia of actually trying out a proper VR headset, like rig. Like if I do try it out, I want to try it out in EVE Online and really only play it in that. I want to use it as a way to look around my cockpit and shit, and like really like maneuver myself around and shit and look while I'm flying and stuff like that. That I think would be cool, but I don't want to play any of these scary fucking games. Hell no. But I'm just kind of spooked to the technology, man. I think I might be a little too fucking like nervous of a person to really get into that. Outlast in VR would be spooky. I wouldn't even do it, dude. I wouldn't even do it. I don't get motion sick, so I'm not really worried about that. I've got pretty decent equilibrium usually, so I'm all right there. I just think it needs to be something low key. I don't want to be fighting no goddamn monsters or stabbing at anybody or anything. I don't want to play that, dude. I watch people play those games and I'm just like, fuck that, bro. Fuck feeling like I'm in that. Hell no. Yeah, dude. I want to do something like I want to play Elite Dangerous. Like, here's one of the things I want to set up once we get moved. I want to get maybe a better desk or an extension to my desk so I can kind of spread my setup out a little bit because my desk is a little too small for the amount of monitors and shit that I've got. I've only got 2, but they're really big. I need to rig something up, maybe get an extra monitor. I would like to move to a 3-monitor setup if my rig would support it, which I think it could, and or maybe get a little laptop and use it as a virtual machine. I'm not sure what I'm going to do there, but I'd like to set up, a good comfortable spot for me to play Elite Dangerous, and then try it with the VR headset that I have, which is like pretty old now, but it'll probably still be supported because Elite is pretty old now. And see if I like it, see if it's worth doing. And if it's not worth the shit that I have to go through to play it or whatever, it just feels wrong to me, then I'll just play Elite without it. Because I've really been jonesing to just like chill out and play Elite, but there's the way I like to play it, like I can't play it with keyboard and mouse. I can't play it with a controller. Like I have to have my joystick and my throttle and shit for it to feel chill to me. And so I want to get that and maybe even get like a setup where I can triple monitor it. I've seen those where it's like you've got 3 monitors and they're all close together and you can split the UI so that certain, the parts of it in your cockpit show up on those monitors. So it's a little bit like VR, kind of VR Lite. That'd be kind of fun. I'm not really into a lot of flight games, bro. I like space games. So really when it comes to that kind of thing, I'm not really looking to fly a fucking old plane. I'm not into Flight Simulator. I'm not into any of that. I really don't care to fly an actual real plane. I like doing the space stuff, and I don't even like doing the dogfighting shit, really. I like playing like a trucker in space or an explorer that just goes system to system and catalogs what's there and moves on and tries to go as deep as I can and get back safely. Like that type of shit is appealing to me, and you can do both of those in Eve. You can actually run both of those kind of careers at the same time and have cross benefits with them. And so that's kind of what I want to do. I kind of want to set up Eve, or not Eve, sorry, Elite. I keep probably mixing them up. I want to set up Elite with my joystick and my shit so that I can fucking play it the way I like to play it. And Space Truck. Be a space trucker / space tourism provider. That's kind of fun. / explorer when I get bored with that shit. Fuck it. The tourism board is closed down. I'm going out into fucking the uncharted unknown, dude. And you can do all of that shit reasonably cheap. I mean, it'll take me a while to build up enough money to really afford that and really tweak it out so I can have the most fun flying it. But I've got 1 or 2 pieces of it already. I've got a really good cargo ship. It's like a mid-range probably. It's not the best one, but I've got a really good cargo ship to start with, and then I've got a really good exploration ship too. Ready to rock. So I can just make money doing those, save it up, and get my tourism ship, get one of those big ass fucking luxury liners, and then upgrade my space trucker to the biggest, baddest shit that I can fly. Oh, yeah. Anyway, I'm fucking freezing to death. And so I'm going to go inside. And I guess I'll see you guys later. Bye.